The YNW MELLY murder trial got interesting today.
Hey,
Prosecutor shows a self-incriminating message between Melly and another rapper the morning after the murders. Then Melly's lawyer cross-examines the lead detective Moretti about how he conducted the investigation and other potential suspects for around 2 hours. And it gets pretty intense, boys, so...
Yo, before we dive into this, shout out Cuff Boys. If you haven't subscribed to them yet, then, you know, hop up. Well, not them, but him. You know, hop over there, give him a little subscribe, give him a like, whatever it is. You know, show some support. And then you could hop back here, do the same thing for me. You know what I mean? Give me a little something. But yeah, let's just dive straight into it, yo. Day 15. I know I ain't covered this for a little while, covering other stuff that's going on in the world, but back on this Melly trial, right? Mad updates, yo. Mad things going on. I'm gonna get back on it this week. Get to pumping out videos, but we starting off with Cuff Boys Day 15, and it ain't looking too good for Melly, yo.
Sadly, the rest of the stream got deleted for whatever reason. It's nowhere on YouTube, so this is all we get for the day. Subscribe right now. Let's get right into this.
I did that with a smiley emoji.
The infamous "I did that" message to PZ Gambino, another rapper, and then he says shush right after.
Response to from the PZ Gambino account.
The PZ Gambino account asked him if he was okay, and his response was, "I did that," and placed a smiley face emoji. After that, SHHHH.
Definitely not a good look. Not a good look for Melly to say I did that shush. We don't have the full context, as we've seen in other conversations throughout this trial, that once they add the full conversation, it's like, oh, well, that could be perceived a different way. Iffy, but to a jury that could be important. Oh, Melly's lawyer's about to come up now and talk about this. So let's see how they approach this, because this is a self-snitching message, let's be honest, but we don't know the full context.
Point to where I did that. Is that correct? And how do you spell that?
Okay. On the way,
the spelling of the way Melly spelled the word that.
It's coming from 9807, the phone.
Yo, here's what I think. I think he's pointing out the spelling because he's gonna try to say that Melly probably spells that like D-A-T maybe. Cause why he asked him to spell it, bro?
T-H-A-T, that. Correct?
Correct.
This is coming from the 9807 that the state has introduced thousands of pages indicating
Yeah, it's got
that it belongs or it's a phone that Melly uses.
You
correct?
try to say
Page 1
that
of defense exhibit coming from 9807. Would you tell the jury how he spells that?
That, D-A-T.
D-A-T.
I had a feeling he was going to say Melly spells that differently. It says D-A-T.
Will you tell the jury how he spells that?
D-A-T.
D-A-T. Not T-H-A-T. D-A-T, correct? Right. Page 3, coming out of 9807. How does he spell that?
D-A-T.
So when Melly spells the word that, you want me to go through all 19 pages? Or will you take my word that every time, coming out of 9807, that's attributed to this young man that's writing the message. He does not spell it T-H-A-T, but D-A-T. Would you like to look through it?
No, sir. You're asking me to explain that the one moment he decided to use proper grammar.
One moment. These phones messages sitting there.
Where he said that, T-H-A-T, was on Instagram.
Cause bro, like that's reasonable doubt that the defense just brought in, bro. You gotta now prove beyond that. And one moment, that's not good enough of an argument, because if somebody usually does something one way every time, and then one time they happen to, then that's subject to being an exception. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's subject to being an exception, which might work in the prosecution's case, but it's also subject to being like a red flag that maybe this isn't that person, you know what I mean? And that's the doubt that the defense just created.
Graham, I believe, and he's trying to cast out and show that there was a difference between the way he was spelling on the cell phone and the Instagram. I think he's just trying to hint that it could have been someone else on his Instagram account, like maybe his manager talking, like just trying to cast doubt, confuse the jury, honestly.
These phone messages that the state introduced sitting on this pages that we painfully went through.
Jesus.
He spells it D-A-T, not T-H-A-T, except for this one occasion, right?
Just this one time.
What a strange I'm sorry, Judge. I apologize. Somewhat unusual, wouldn't you think? 3 people in his car, correct?
Yes, sir.
Was Anthony Williams,
Yes,
and sitting in the rear passenger seat
Definitely
was Christopher
creating
Thomas.
yes.
But he got some
Only
good
those
son.
3 people when the shooting occurred, correct?
Correct.
You learned that he lied to you about where the drive-by shooting was, correct?
Yes,
You went to, what,
Yeah,
3
like I
different
said in the
areas to look
previous
for
video.
evidence of the drive-by of Portland, what Portland Henry told you.
Definitely want to
Correct.
get your
Yes.
hands on
You
it.
learned at that
Yes,
time
sir.
that at first he was labeled
You're
a
able to
victim,
mold it
but that he now
and
is
just take
lying
away
to
different
the police
grades of
concerning
like
the shooting of 2
right here,
individuals.
where I'm
he
looking
was still
at
listed as a
Portland
victim that
High.
day.
I mean, Bortland did show up to the hospital with 2 dead bodies and gunshot residue on his hands. Any
I'm not
lawyer's
trying
going
to
to try to be like, yo, what about this guy? Like,
the
how do you know
entire
for
thing.
sure that it wasn't this guy
I'm
driving
just
the car and not my
trying to soften it up
defendant?
here.
There is such a crime
Like I
as
said,
lying
there's
to the
no
police.
such thing as a lie.
Yes, sir, it's a misdemeanor.
You could have
Real
arrested him
case
if
where-
you so
where-
chose for
That's
lying
my
to the
skin.
police, correct?
You know what I mean? Where
You're saying that
different
you're
parts
arrested
of the body
a
look-
potential
there's no
victim of a
lie
violent crime
there.
on a misdemeanor?
Could you just answer my question? Could you have arrested him? Yes or no?
Yes,
So he chose not to arrest him.
Hold on now. They got a little spicy.
How do you know for sure that it wasn't this guy driving the car and not my defendant?
There is such a crime as lying to the police.
yes, sir, it's a misdemeanor.
You could have arrested him if you so chose for lying to the police, correct?
Ooh.
You're saying that you're arrested a potential victim of a violent crime on a misdemeanor?
Could you just answer my question? Could you have arrested him? Yes or no?
Right.
Yes.
This witness real like smart, you know what I mean? Not you're like a little smart ass type of John. Can he do the same thing with the spelling? Oh, you trying to say this one time he used correct grammar? Like, come on, bro. Come on, bro. We ain't here for your smart mouth, bro.
So he chose not to arrest him because he probably wasn't sure at that point in time if he lied for sure or not. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
these
look,
detectives go into this with no information, 0. So we know a lot more information now. So now we're gonna like think that we would think a little bit better than these detectives, but
You right.
they go in this blind.
Spoke to him
That's
for
right. That's
approximately an hour or 2, correct?
It was about an hour.
And he gave you the address where he lives, that Melly lives there, correct?
Yes,
Anthony Williams, one of the victims, lives there. He tells you Christopher Thomas, the other victim, lives there, correct?
Correct.
And he also tells you Melly is a recording artist, correct?
yes,
$16 million went into Jameson Francois' bank account.
over a 30-month period, yes.
We also got to think, all right, that's a huge number. People are like, Melly made $16 million. 100K tracker, Jameson Francois, as they just said, managed other huge artists, including King Von, too, who probably still makes a good amount of money off of him as well. And he probably has a bunch of other little artists as well. So this is probably the main account that majority of the money goes into for a lot of artists.
A rather successful, would you say, recording artist.
I really don't understand the music business, sir, how the money's made, how it comes in.
I'm not asking you that. Someone who earns $16 million in 30 months legally is pretty successful, wouldn't you say?
I don't, like I said before, that we could never determine the amount of money.
Lawyer flexing Melly's money right there. I can guarantee you Melly did not make $60 million in 30 months. I mean, maybe if this is the time period of like
Bro,
when
that
he's
dude
been in
is
jail, I
real
don't think he would have
dodging.
gotten that big of a advance up front.
I don't know though. I don't know. Cause hear me right, Cuff. Hear me right, everybody. Murder on My Mind went like international, bro. I was playing in the Caribbean. I was probably playing in France too, bro. Like I went international. And then a song with Kanye. I don't know, bro. I don't know, mixed personalities and all that. I don't know, bro. Like he probably could, bro. He probably could have. I mean, and it wasn't just him alone and YNW. I don't know if he was doing like a label and if he was getting money off of other people. I don't know what else he was doing for bread, but I don't know, bro. You could make 16 million in 30 months on the right John. I'm sure Lana the Plug just made 16 million in 30 minutes. So, you feel me?
from a label. Like, there's no way a label would risk giving money to Melly right now. I'm pretty sure he signed a 300 entertainment before he was arrested.
You know, because Mr. Fresco had other clients, so we could never isolate what specifically is made by one artist over another.
I literally just I had a feeling he was going to say that. It's not 100% all Melly's money.
The driver of the car that lied to you and Melly lived, and you had the address at the same house.
Yes.
You also learned about that time, and you mentioned it briefly. A text message came out from a crucial Almighty.
Yes.
And that text message was, we were just aiming at YNW, correct?
Yes, sir.
And it had a picture of him with a target, correct?
Yes, sir.
So it would be fair to say, on October 26th, his real name was David Hedgepath. Well, it's suspect number one, based
Yo,
upon
let me
that.
see that picture.
26, with a target, correct?
Yes, sir.
They
Correct.
bring that
Yes.
picture?
And it had a picture of him with a target.
They should
Correct.
bring that
Yes.
picture.
So it would be fair to say, on October 26th, his real name was David Hedgepath. Well, it's suspect number one, based upon that.
It was a person of interest and something to look at.
He's suddenly just bringing up other potential suspects.
When did you
We
decide
never
to
heard
talk
it before.
to the David who said he shot at this young man inside a Jeep? What date?
I first did a search warrant into his social media account where they came from, which then we was able to determine a better picture of Mr. Hedgepath was. So it was probably maybe 2 years later when we interviewed Mr. Hedgepath.
2 years later, a year after this young man surrenders to you, to the police?
I'm not sure the exact date, but
February of 19. Would you agree it was 2 years after that?
yes,
He
sir.
got the date.
That is a little late. I mean, if
He
the
got-
guy's
oh,
tweeting
you
shit
remember the
or
date?
posting shit
I
on
got
social
the
media
date.
saying he shot at YNW or whatever, that is like, why are you doing that 2 years later? I feel like you should get that done in the first few months. I mean, just to
Yeah,
like
bro.
X him out.
His work records.
And when did you subpoena those work records?
2 years later, after we interviewed him.
And I think you mentioned- Did you speak to any of his co-employees to verify whether or not he was really working when the time clock indicated he was?
Yes, sir.
Lawyer probably wasn't hoping he was going to say yes to that question.
That they were having a problem with a guy
He
named
was,
Bentley.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to label him as suspect number 2. Who is Bentley?
We never could identify.
Never identified someone they were beefing with. Again, he's just doing his job, trying to cast out.
You also learned that there was a problem at Walmart. They got jumped,
Never
and
identified.
a necklace or bracelet was stolen.
A little pendant fell off on us, yes.
Did you go to
Can't say
Walmart
without a reasonable
to
doubt
investigate that?
that there weren't people
Yes, sir.
out there
On October 27th, you
who were
identified
possibly capable
Portland Henry,
people
Anthony Williams,
and
Yes, sir.
willing
Christopher Thomas,
Yes, sir.
to commit that drive.
Trevon Glass,
Yes, sir.
Melly,
Yes, sir.
Toby Mills,
Octavius Withers.
So right
Octavius
now,
Withers,
we
and
need to
Adrian
say without
Davis.
a doubt
all
there's
8
a
people
possibility.
that left the recording studio, and you had observed the bloody scene of inside the Jeep, correct?
Correct.
And you knew that Cortland Henry had lied to you,
Correct.
obtained a search warrant to look at that house to see if you could find any blood, any gun, or anything. What happened in that car, correct?
There is no way we could search warrant for that house because there was no nexus to the crime to the house. I have to establish a nexus between the two, or the judges will not sign the warrant.
Did you even try, sir, to get a search warrant and go in front of a judge and say, I got 8 people who left the studio. They all live in the same house. The driver of the vehicle we interviewed lied, and the inside of the Jeep is covered in blood, and we're looking for the gun or guns and the bloody clothes involved in this. Did you bother to do that, sir?
So like I said before, there was no connection between the house and the
So you just
crime itself.
assume?
No, where we had blood, where we had evidence, where we had instruments of a crime, we did search warrants. Anytime we had a nexus between the two, we did a search warrant.
You could have secured that house by officers standing in front of it and at least come to this jury and say, I went to a judge, explain to the judge, 8 people live in the house, 8 people left the studio, and a few hours later, 2 people ended up dead, and the driver of the vehicle lied to us about everything concerning the shooting. You could have done that, couldn't you?
That's not how it works, sir.
Not how it works. Fair enough.
Yeah.
The house where Melly lived.
No, sir.
How about December?
They were already gone at that point.
Traces of blood because we saw that you sprayed this agent on things and miraculously blood surfaces. You know that.
Yes, sir.
Did you do that?
No, sir.
So yeah, doing a pretty good job on showing how
Yes.
the detective maybe could have done more, even though
Yes.
he's saying that he couldn't have. But it could make the jury be like, wow, this guy didn't really investigate this the best. Who knows? Who knows
Makes
what the
me
jury is
think that.
thinking?
That conversation was not specific to the murder. That was
Excuse me.
specific.
Did you, in fact,
Bro,
threaten to have him be federally indicted? Yes or no?
Yes, because of gun sales.
Gun sales. Did you, in fact, tell him that he would not see his kids for a couple of years.
Possibly. Yeah.
What?
Yes, sir.
I mean, we've heard throughout the trial, Melly's mom got hurt by this guy. Like, he twisted her hand and tore some ligaments in Melly's mom's hand. He threatened to charge Melly's girlfriend with accessory after the fact, I believe.
Did you, in fact, threaten Jameson Francois?
Melly's manager.
Same answer, sir. We advised him that lying to us could result in their arrest.
Did you, in fact, tell him he would be deported to Haiti?
Yes.
Threatened Jameson Francois to be deported to Haiti, even though he's been in this country since 5 years?
Yes, sir.
Did you, in fact, threaten that he would not get fed and get any medicine in the Haitian jails?
I don't know about that.
God damn, this detective was wildin'. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes, but damn.
Threatening a witness.
Objection, Your Honor.
Anyone ask a question? What's the objection?
Relevance.
I overrule as well, go ahead.
Do you think
She objected before he even finished the question.
threatening a witness who tells you something that you don't like really gets to the truth?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance.
Sustain.
Did you, in fact, tell him that the jails are overcrowded, in referring to Haiti? It's disease-ridden. It's a, excuse my French, a shithole.
Objection, overruled.
Yes, sir.
Consider these threats that you gave to these various witnesses.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustain.
You obviously don't follow that technique.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustain.
Let me show you the list of suspects that we talked about and see if this is true and correct. May I approach? Would you sign it for me? Dated today's date.
Wow.
I mean, he did show the detective was, doing some wild stuff, threatening people and lying and doing some crazy shit to witnesses to try to get them to talk. Pretty standard practice for the police and detectives, I mean, in general. Like, pretty sure I've heard of detectives doing that for years, so it's just what happens.
That he needs not only the provider name, but the list of powers in a particular area so that he can attempt to map out and tell a jury like this where the phones are located at a particular time.
I have to disagree because the platform they use, CASFIZ, is linked with what's called NDCAC. It's the national database of all the cell towers that's maintained in the United States. So the platform they use is constantly updated.
That they cannot pinpoint at a particular time exactly where a phone is at any particular time.
Correct.
They can only give a general area.
Correct, sir.
That general area is approximately a couple miles wide, correct?
No, it's more like meters as compared to miles. It's accurate, but it's not precise.
Doing what any lawyer would do to phone records that track someone, trying to show that it's a general area, not an exact location. That phone puts Melly in the car, remember, so.
Something on the cell records called environment. You use that as a guide to locate or plot where a particular phone is at a particular time, correct?
No, sir, that's inaccurate. The environment just tells us where the phone is interpreting where it's at. Example, it tells us if it's mobile, if it's outdoor, it tells us it's indoor. The environment. It has nothing to do with the location data. Corroborated with video. Example, when you walked out of the recording studio at 3:18 a.m., the phone was registering outdoor.
How about when it was on I-75 or 595?
It was staying mobile.
That was a good explanation from the detective because I really didn't grasp all that. All the talk about environment. So your phone knows when you're in a car going 50 miles per hour, pretty much. It changes to saying mobile, or the cell towers do at least.
That the FBI never, ever uses the label environment because they cannot attest to the reliability of that.
I'm not aware of that.
Fair enough.
Good bounce back for the lawyer.
You also use latitude and longitude. Are you aware that the FBI does not?
That's crazy. I don't know if you following along, but check it. What I'm gathering from this is, let me bring this back. So basically, the phone location, John, that's not like super precise. I mean, we kind of knew that from before, but like how this guy explained it, the first guy was saying it's the defense lawyer said it's in miles, right? Then the detective said, nah, it's in meters. I remember wondering that like day 4 or something in the trial when the female defense lawyer tried asking the female prosecutor that same John. You remember that? I remember that, bro, and I was wondering like, all right, so what's the accuracy like? What's the range? So to know that it's meters, that's a good explanation. And then that 3-part for the environment, John, I did not know that either. And I don't know if you did, but like breaking it down, what he just went over is your phone basically communicates with cell towers, or your phone. Bro, these things are crazy, bro. These things are truly digital leashes. I don't know if you remember us calling it that in one of the previous episodes, but yeah, yo. Digital leashes, because it could tell if you're indoors, and I guess it would do that based on Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, cell tower, and I guess using all of that and internal AI, internal management systems, it can probably tell by the speed, the location, the height of the phone. It could probably tell like by the speed of the wavelength, whether there's walls around or not. Could probably tell by just the microphone being on and sound constantly bouncing if it's in an enclosed area. Boom, indoors. Tracking the speed at which it's moving at. If you're moving faster than a human being can possibly move when at a steady pace, like walking, you're mobile. And if you're if you're outdoor where like maybe no Wi-Fi but great cell connection, maybe your GPS location, maybe that's what it uses too. Because with GPS and satellite, whatever nowadays, it could zoom in and like AI could tell if this spot that it's zooming in on is within a structure or outside of a structure. So those three things are good to know. Those three differentiations of what environment is good to know. And then the comeback, from what I'm gathering, is the FBI doesn't use that in trials and in cases like when they bring it up to the judge or to the jury, because to me it sounds like the environment situation is almost like a polygraph. You could use, let's say I get arrested, right? And they ask me to do a polygraph test, or let's say I'm a suspect in something. They ask me to do a polygraph test. If I pass the test, he truly believes what he's saying. We got to look at other people. Granted, some people pass the test, and they beat the system or whatever, but that would knock me down on the interest list, right? But if I fail, it'll be like, yo, this person has something to hide. We got to look at him much more closely. But you cannot mention to the jury, oh yeah, we had him do a polygraph. Because at the end of the day, what you're basically saying is you pursued someone because you thought they lied to you. A polygraph is not concrete. If you take certain drugs, like for whatever health reasons, that could cause you to fail a polygraph. I think if you're pregnant, you could fail it too, something like that, because of the whole 2 heartbeats. So it's not concrete, you feel me? So I feel like that's what the defense is trying to bring in here now. So let's hop in and see if that's what it is. I'm gonna just bring it back real quick.
I really didn't grasp all that.
Let me bring it back so you could get it yourself, you feel me?
Phone is at a particular time, correct?
No, so that's inaccurate. The environment just tells us where the phone is interpreting where it's at. Example, it tells us if it's mobile, if it's outdoor, it tells us it's indoor. The environment, it has nothing to do with the location data. Corroborated with video. Example, when he walked out of the recording studio at 3:18 a.m., the phone was registering outdoor.
How about when it was on I-75 or 595?
It was saying mobile.
That was a good explanation from the detective, because I really didn't grasp all that. All the talk about environment. So your phone knows when you're in a car going 50 miles per hour, pretty much. It changes to saying mobile, or the cell towers do at least.
That the FBI never, ever uses the label environment because they cannot attest to the reliability of that.
I'm not aware of that.
Good bounce back for the lawyer.
You also use latitude and longitude. Are you aware that the FBI does not rely upon the latitude and longitude when they determine where a phone is?
It's an estimate. The cell phone provider is providing us an estimate what they believe the phone might be. Like I said before, it's not precise.
My question to you wasn't that. My question to you is, are you aware?
There has been false readings with towers. Sometimes anomalies within the records. It happens.
That you attempted to, well, you did get some cameras off of 595 and I-75, correct?
Yes, sir.
Could you tell the jury if you could see who was in each vehicle?
No, sir, you cannot.
Could you tell this jury how many people were in each vehicle?
No, sir, you cannot, sir.
How about the CVS that's on Miramar Parkway?
It doesn't cover up that far.
Did you pull it?
We went there.
Did you look at it?
Yes, sir.
How about Applebee's?
Yeah, there's a pharmacy there, but there's no Applebee's there.
Did you go to that pharmacy?
Yes, sir.
Did you pull the surveillance?
Yes, sir.
How about the Pollo Tropical?
Their videos didn't come
Yo,
back.
Pollo
Did you pull 'em?
Tropical.
Did you
Yo,
look at 'em?
I ain't eating like
Did you look at the camera at
years,
Publix
son.
that's on that road?
Doesn't cover the road, sir.
How about the Walgreens?
No, sir.
Again, he's trying to make the detective look like he didn't do the best job investigating this.
But you did a helicopter ride to show this jury this route on what day?
May 2023.
May of 2023,
Yes, sir.
after this trial started. Correct?
They were
What?
doing a lot of shit last minute, I gotta admit. Like, they found more DNA on the door handle of Melly a month and a half ago. Apparently, this helicopter ride was in May. I didn't realize that either.
4 years after this young man surrendered. Correct?
Sustained good. Yes, sir.
Third phone found in the car. Correct?
Yes, sir.
That you said you don't know who the owner is. Correct?
Correct, sir.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
And it goes
That's
to
crazy,
a
bro.
Sprint phone. Correct?
Yes, sir.
You're aware that that SIM number can be tracked once you have the provider
Yes, sir.
to a particular phone.
Yes, sir.
Did you do that in this case?
No, sir.
Fair enough.
That's interesting. I don't know why he wouldn't do that, but I guess he thought it wasn't needed.
Pictures taken of the two individuals that were shot before they were removed from the vehicle, the Jeep.
Yes, yes, sir.
I had a feeling someone was going to end up doing this, one of the defense lawyers, because previously, like a week or two ago, he brought up how there's no footage or pictures whatsoever of the dead bodies and the vehicle.
You immediately go and speak to Courtland Henry.
Facts. Yo, why I
Yes.
never thought of that?
And we listen to the tape of Mr. Henry.
Yes, sir.
The tape they're talking about of Cortland talking to the police, I'll put it as an annotation above. It's pretty bad. Cortland does sound like he's lying in it.
You learned that he lied to you about where the drive-by shooting was, correct?
Yes.
You went to, 3 different areas to look for evidence of the drive-by of Cortland, what Cortland Henry told you, correct?
Yes.
Oh, we finally got to see Melly today. Seems to be staring someone down.
Yo.
There
this
was
started
also
off
the red
looking
Mitsubishi that was seen
right
leaving
now. It's looking
the-
good.
leaving the area, correct?
Yes, sir.
Search the red Mitsubishi at any time
No, sir.
to get fingerprints to determine who was inside that vehicle.
Yes, sir.
Just showing little holes that could make him look
Mhm.
bad. But, you know, to me, I'm like on the fence. I'm like, yeah, he could have been a little biased towards certain things and focused more on certain things. But
That could verify, would it not?
Which is what the
whether or not
first
Melly got inside that vehicle.
defense lawyer was saying from the very jump.
Possibly, yes.
that was a good answer for the lawyer right there.
Your information indicated.
Wait, what was that? I missed that.
Like on the fence. I'm like, yeah, he could have been a little biased towards certain things and focused more on certain things. But
That could verify, would it not, whether or not Melly got inside that vehicle.
Not necessarily.
But it could.
Possibly, yes.
that was a good answer.
It could verify.
Biased towards certain things and focused more on certain things. But
That could verify, would it
Oh,
not,
cut it
whether
out.
or not
Facts.
Melly got
I
inside
was
that
like, how I keep missing
Not
this?
necessarily.
But it could.
Possibly, yes.
that was a good answer for the lawyer right there.
Mhm.
Your information indicated that this young man was not in the Jeep at that time when the shootings occurred, correct?
That was based upon the false statement of Don't Take His Withers.
Christopher Thomas Sr. Without telling us what it is, what he told you, that Christopher Thomas Sr. had issues with Anthony Williams.
Sustained.
Melly's lawyer's hinting at Juvie's dad having beef with Sack Chaser. Apparently he told them that. I'm going to fix my hat, sorry.
And that's based upon some analysis of a phone, correct?
Sounds like yes, sir.
You find absolutely nothing.
Correct.
And you learn that basically you went on a wild goose chase based upon your analysis of that one phone.
I think that's the
Yo.
lawyer trying to show that the cell towers could be inaccurate and ping off random towers and confuse the
Mhm.
detectives, so it could be inaccurate, maybe.
An apartment belonging to
This lawyer coming
Jameson
at that.
Francois that leads to a locker, a storage locker. Correct?
Yes.
You found another black holster with a Glock back strap on it, and a black holster with a magazine holder, and various gun locks. Correct?
Yes.
You never asked him about those black holsters found in there. Correct?
I'm not sure, sir.
You're not sure. Cortland Henry was arrested in Texas. Correct?
Correct, sir.
Melly's lawyer hinting at the
Wow.
fact that the detective flew out to Texas to try to talk to Cortland before his lawyer swooped in.
Knowing he had a lawyer. Correct?
Yes.
And you went out there to question him about this case, correct?
His vote was right whenever I voted.
In fact, you were escorted out of the jail because the yelling between you and he got so loud that the guards asked you to leave, correct?
No, sir, that's a false statement.
False statement.
Wow.
On February 14th, you conduct another search on US 27 and Johnson Street, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's also based upon your so-called analysis of various items that you looked at, correct?
Yes, sir.
Tell the jury what you found.
Nothing.
You get this phone 9807 from Mr. Jameson Francois, correct?
Yes, sir.
You have, as we sit here today, no idea how long he had that phone, correct?
That's not true, sir.
So Melly's manager turned in his phone, I believe because he had to, because I think it was like subpoenaed or some shit. I don't know, but.
The defendant talked to his mother and told her they need to get the phone to track.
Oh, yeah, the jail call did say, I'm giving the phone to track.
The victim's DNA was on Mr. Henry's shirt, correct?
Yes, sir.
Had GSR located on his hands.
2 parts GSR.
That miraculously, Sergeant Williams found additional evidence in the vehicle that obviously someone missed.
Yes, sir, I read that.
So someone didn't do their job completely. So how about Quando Wando,
I did not expect for him to say Quando Rondo.
Yeah, why?
who also threatened this young man? Did you bother to talk to him or investigate him?
No, sir.
Didn't you threaten Patrick Deloach without telling me what it is?
No, sir, I don't believe I threatened him. Did I advise him that lying to us could result in him being charged with a crime? Yes.
Said, no, sir, I didn't threaten him, but did I advise him that lying to us would make him get charged with a crime? Yes.
Did you threaten her?
Did not threaten her, sir. I advised her that not being truthful and honest could result in her being arrested for accessory after the fact.
All right, so that wraps up day 15. Pretty much just Melly's lawyer cross-examines the detective and tries to add little holes to what the detective did and how he investigated everything and potential suspects that he didn't really investigate. And he's trying to make the detective look bad and look like he botched the investigation, which I think he did a decent job on. It all depends, though. I'll keep cutting this trial. If you're new to my channel, subscribe. I'm on Twitter, Instagram. Peace out.
I think he did. Because he brought up, the detective also brought up some things we didn't know, right? But definitely did not do the investigation to the best of his ability. Because what you doing flying the route May this year, like 4 or 5 years after the fact. What you doing finding DNA 2 months ago? You know what I mean? Like, by 2 months ago, you should have had everything. You shouldn't even be thinking about, bro, did we double check? Did we triple check? Do we have it all? 2 months ago. Bro, that's something you're supposed to be asking yourself 2 years ago. You're supposed to get all that years ago, bro. That's crazy. If I was in the jury, I would be 100% certain that, like, that's reasonable doubt. You know what I mean? After that, after day 15, I was having doubts. I was always having doubts the whole time, but after day 15, I was having even more doubts because y'all didn't really do this, John, right? You didn't do this right. Then you finding out that all these other things, granted, some of them may be speculation, but the defense did their job. They did it well. Anyways, yo, you see where I reach with this drawing. We just soften up some lines on the face. But like I said, it's not really lines, you know, so we try to soften the edges. Is probably the better term. Soften the edges and, like, blend them out. Make them look more organic and make the gradients more smoother, you know? Because the face, when you're drawing the face, I realize the face doesn't take much to mess up. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. So you gotta be light. You gotta be gentle. It's almost like, you know, first time, you gotta be gentle. So be gentle with the face. Keep drawing. Whatever you drawing, I know it coming out good. Thanks for rocking with me, yo. So, alright, everybody. Have a good day, and I'm see y'all in the next one.